Homes for sale in Peachtree City are very popular and have lots of demand, but there are a few types of homes here that you really need to completely avoid, so let's talk about those. When it comes to homes for sale in Peachtree City, the average days that a home is on the market before going under contract in May was 9 days, and then in June it jumped up to 15 days. And in July, it was 18 days. This is a very big difference in just a short span of 2 months to have doubled in average days on market for homes for sale in Peachtree City is a very big difference. You can kind of say that the demand for homes has almost been halved, or it's half in July that it was in May, with 18 days on market average in July and 9 days in May. This is a very big difference. What's up, y'all? My name is Victor with Atlanta Suburban Living. We put out videos every week about what it's like to live in Atlanta and the suburbs of Atlanta. One of the first types of homes that you should avoid if you are planning to buy a home in Peachtree City is homes that have been on the market for a long time. If they have a days on market of like 60 days or more, these are the type of homes that I would suggest you just completely don't even bother with. These are the types of homes that are like have some kind of issue with them. And keep in mind that if a home has been on the market for 60 days, that means that all of the people who are in that area, the locals of Peachtree City, they've seen those homes, they've been to those homes for 60 days, and they have all passed up on those homes. And so if you're looking for a home that is move-in ready, like you don't have to do a bunch of work to the home, then a home that's been on the market for 60 days is not even worth looking at. You really should be aiming for something that's been 30 days on the market or less. These are where you are more likely to find the move-in ready homes. Now, if you're looking for a fixer-upper, if you're looking for that kind of investment property, then maybe a home that's been on the market for 60 days is the right idea. This is typically the kind of homes that you see when they've been on the market for 60 or 90 or 120 days. It's homes that need some work, and if you get it for the right price, put some work into the home, put some sweat equity into the home, then you have some instant equity once you are finished with that work and you've moved in. This is a very completely different kind of strategy for buying a home. You're either buying a home that is move-in ready and you're looking for a home that is 30 days on the market or less, or you're looking for a fixer-upper that's been on the market for a while that you can get a deal on. Let's also talk about how many homes have come on the market in Peachtree City versus how many homes have actually sold. If you're thinking about buying a home in Peachtree City, feel free to call, text, or email me anytime. Thank you so much to everybody who has reached out. I'm always happy to help. I'm a local real estate agent here in the Metro Atlanta area. Feel free to call, text, or email me anytime. But the number of homes that have sold in Peachtree City in May was 59 homes, and then in June it was 62, and in July it was 40. The reason these numbers are interesting is because when we compare them to the amount of homes that are coming on the market every month, it's a very big difference. In May, we had 94 new homes come on the market. In June, we had 75 new homes come on the market, and in July, 74. So we're seeing more homes coming on the market than we are seeing homes sold, and this has been going on for a very long time. I would bet something like a year at least, of maybe more than a year actually, of homes being a lot more new listings than we are seeing homes sold. And so this idea that there's like a shortage of homes for sale in Peachtree City or a shortage of homes for sale anywhere in Metro Atlanta is completely like obsolete. That was maybe the case in the early 2020, like 2021, 2022. Maybe you could say there was a shortage of homes for sale, but this is no longer the case. There are far more homes for sale than there are people buying. So this is great news for buyers. This means it is a buyer's market. Buyers are getting deals on homes. You're not having to pay the list price. You're getting the seller to pay for so much of your closing costs, maybe all of your closing costs. In fact, we just worked with a client where I got the seller to pay for all of the buyer's closing costs and additional money to pay down the interest rate. So they lowered the interest rate with the extra cash that the seller was putting into the deal. And so this is finally a buyer's market, and it's certainly the case in Peachtree City. Another significant number here is the average price for homes in Peachtree City. In May, the average sold price for a home in Peachtree City was $590,000, and then in June it was $585,000, and in July it was $660,000. I know that's a very big jump from June to July. Sometimes this happens when we have a small sample size. I think in July, what did we say? It was the amount of homes sold in July was 40, and then in June it was 62. So sometimes when we have a small sample size, these kinds of averages make an unusual jump. But I would say what is typical, what is realistic, is more like an average sold price of about $600,000 in Peachtree City. Now, as we get into the fall and in the winter, this price will certainly start to dip down. And the school year here in Metro Atlanta starts very early. In fact, at the time of filming this video, it is like August 5th, and school has already started for the majority of Metro Atlanta. And so this means that all of the people who are considering buying a home, they have already found their home. They've already moved in. And so the rush of buyers is already over. And so now the people who are starting to list their home, it's going to be a bit more difficult for those people. It's even more of a buyer's market. And so home prices will start to come down little by little until we get back to the spring of next year. We're certainly going to talk about some more types of homes here in Peachtree City to avoid buying, but to give you a quick idea of what the homes are like here in Peachtree City and how much they sell for and what they look like, I've got a few examples here. 203 Pallet Lane in Peachtree City is a 4-bed, 4-bath home, about 3,600 square feet, built in 1997 on a half acre, and they're asking about $800,000 for this home. Also, 416 Kinross Lane in Peachtree City is a 4-bed, 3-bath home, about 3,100 square feet, built in 2022, and they're asking $625,000 for this home. These homes are currently on the market. And then the last one is 311 Honey Locust Court in Peachtree City, is a 3-bed, 3-bath home, about 2,300 square feet, built in 2017, and they're asking about $700,000 for this home. We typically don't see a lot of new construction in Peachtree City, so it's nice to see that they've got a few there, 2022, and then we certainly don't see like a lot of these modern style homes in Peachtree City. We see a lot more like traditional style in Peachtree City, still done well, you know, still like hardwood floors, still very open concept kind of homes are very typical, but like the super modern kind of feeling homes that you see in middle of Atlanta, or I don't know, maybe Alpharetta or Cumming, these are not the kind of modern homes that we see in Peachtree City. Again, traditional is the typical kind of style in this city. But when it comes to homes that you want to avoid, these are some that I think you really need to be very cautious of, maybe even completely avoid. And one of those is homes that are not in a neighborhood or not in an HOA. Very often people call me and they're like, I want to live in a home that doesn't have an HOA. We hate our HOA here in Florida, or we hate our HOA here in California. And while that is totally understandable, and I'm sure those HOAs, especially in Florida, my God, I have heard some horror stories about y'all's HOAs in Florida. It's not that way here in Metro Atlanta, and it's not that way in Peachtree City. If you take a look at the cost of the HOAs here in Peachtree City, or the yearly cost, you'll see that they are far less than the HOAs in Florida or California or wherever you're coming from. The HOAs here are just mainly to, they want to collect enough money to maintain the pool and maybe the tennis courts. So they're not collecting a whole bunch of money. They're not paying someone to drive around in the golf cart and measure the length of your grass. They don't do that here. It's very different. They really are just trying to preserve the home values. And so that's why I'm saying you want to avoid the homes that are not in a neighborhood, because those homes, you have not, you don't have that protection for the home values, or you maybe have the city deciding to build a major highway. It may be a small road right now that home is on, but if the city decides to build a major highway there, now your home is on a highway and it's going to be difficult to impossible to sell one day. And so the neighborhood homes tend to preserve their value a lot better. Another big one here in Peachtree City is you want to avoid the homes that have polybutylene plumbing, because many of the homes here in Peachtree City were developed or built like in the 90s. We have a lot of homes here with polybutylene plumbing, which we're just going to call PB plumbing because polybutylene is a mouthful. So PB plumbing is a kind of material that they used for the pipes in the 90s, and it was much cheaper to use, they realized, but really only after 5 to 10 years, I would say, they very quickly realized that this kind of plumbing had a lot of defects, and there was a class action lawsuit, and there was a very big deal, and so they no longer use this kind of PB plumbing anymore in homes. But many of the 90s built homes in Peachtree City still have this PB plumbing. And so you want to be careful of those kind of homes. Very often people are having to lower the price of their home or lower their value because it has that PB plumbing. So certainly something to stay away from. Certainly a big one here is the golf cart paths in Peachtree City. This is one of the things that makes this city so popular. And so if you are wanting that community and you're wanting to have a golf cart and be able to take the kids to school on the golf cart, or ride them to, or drive to the grocery store on the golf cart or whatever, like, this is obviously a very popular idea. But if that's the kind of style, that's the lifestyle that you're looking for, then you obviously want to avoid homes that are not on the golf cart path or not near the golf cart path. And there's not one golf cart path. There is like a network of golf cart paths all over the neighborhoods and the city and the shopping centers, and they all kind of come together, and they all kind of, it's like a network of golf cart paths. And so if you're looking for that, then you might want to be careful of where that home is located. Certainly a big one in Peachtree City is the amount of trees and vegetation that we have here. This is something that makes the city beautiful, and we love the amount of nature and green space that we have here. But because we have so many trees, sometimes you can find homes that are very close to pine trees. Especially pine trees are the worst ones. Pine trees tend to have a short lifespan. They're not like other trees. They tend to fall over kind of easily. And so you want to either avoid the homes that are too close to pine trees, or remove those pine trees if they're too close to the home. And then a big one that is super important to me is actually the kind of home that I first bought with my first home. The kind of home you definitely want to avoid is a 70s or 80s home that has a basement. When I bought my first home, my wife and I found this amazing home. It was built in the 80s. It had a basement, and we were like, oh, this is great. Like the character and the charm of an 80s home, but we also got a basement that we can like do a theater in, or have the kids' playroom or whatever, or maybe have an office space down there. And while this sounded like a great idea to us, we very quickly realized the issue that these 70s and 80s basement homes have. And that is that back then, when they built basements, they didn't really do a great job of building basements correctly. Because a basement is below ground, you really need to build those spaces differently than you build a part of the home that is above ground. Like, it's above ground, it's typical. You just put the siding and the insulation and then the framing and the drywall. Like, all of that stuff is normal, no biggie. But when part of the home is below ground, you can't just build it the same way, especially because of how much water we have here in Georgia. Water in the ground, the amount of rainwater that we get. And so you really have to have that protective barrier against the ground, against the water, against the soil for homes with basements. And in the 70s and 80s, they didn't do that. So many homes built in that time frame with basements have flooding problems. And sure enough, that happened to us one year. In fact, it was Christmas Eve. I will never forget it as long as I live. There was a ton of rain that day, Christmas Eve. I don't even remember, maybe 2011 or 2012 or 2013. I don't know, somewhere around there. I try to blur that out. That was a nightmare. And the basement of our home flooded. And on Christmas morning, I was literally in the basement with a shop vac, trying to suck the water all out of the basement. And so I would, like, with the shop vac, fill up this little tiny shop vac with water as much as I could, filled it up in like 20 seconds, and then I would walk outside, dump the damn shop vac, come back inside, take more water out of the basement little by little all day long on Christmas morning. And so Lesson learned, you want to avoid these 70s and 80s homes with a basement. There are a lot of things that we can do here. In fact, there's a whole business around protecting those homes here in Georgia and coming up with solutions to prevent that flooding. That's how big of a problem it is here. They can do sump pumps, they can do French drains, all kinds of things, waterproofing. But if the home doesn't have any of those protective things against the water, you want to avoid that kind of home and not be shop vacuuming water out of your basement on Christmas morning. But overall, Peachtree City is a great place to live. It's certainly a very family-friendly kind of city with excellent public schools. It's one of the highest demand cities in all of Metro Atlanta. In fact, if you want a full list of the pros and the cons of living in Peachtree City, you can check that out right here. I'll see you in the next one.